Life inside Angola Prison, America's largest maximum security facility. In the heart of Louisiana, there lies a place so notorious, so brutal, that it has earned the grim title of America's largest maximum security prison. This is Angola Prison. Named after the African country from which the majority of its inmates are descended, Angola is not just a prison, it's a world unto itself. A place where fear, violence, and survival are a daily reality. But what does it really mean to live inside this fortress? What does it take to survive in a place where the rules of the outside world seem to disappear entirely? For more than a century, Angola has held its place as one of the deadliest and most notorious prisons in America. But this story is not just about a prison, it's about the lives inside it. The stories of men who are forced to live, breathe, and sometimes die within its unforgiving walls. Over the next several minutes, we'll take you inside Angola's notorious gates, showing you the human stories that unfold within this terrifying, isolated institution. This is life inside Angola Prison. But the most chilling question remains: how do you survive in a place like this? How do you live when every corner could hide an enemy, when every day could be your last? Before we dive into today's powerful story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more gripping tales. Your support helps us keep sharing these stories, and we wouldn't want you to miss any of the action. Now, let's get started. The history of Angola Prison. Before we dive into the harrowing stories of life behind bars, let's understand the place itself. Angola Prison, officially known as the Louisiana State Penitentiary, was established in 1901. Its roots, however, stretch back much further, to a time when it was part of a massive plantation. This land, once a sugarcane plantation, was built on the backs of enslaved people. After the Civil War, the estate became a prison for black men, many of whom were convicted under the brutal Black Codes, which criminalized African Americans for minor offenses and sent them into forced labor. Today, Angola continues to be surrounded by controversy, its past inextricably tied to the painful legacy of slavery. Though the plantation days are long gone, Angola still reflects that dark history. Its reputation as one of the toughest prisons in the United States is not just built on its size, but also on its grueling conditions and the prison's stronghold on its inmates. Angola is home to over 6,000 prisoners, many serving life sentences, and for some, it's a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The prison's physical size is staggering. It spans over 18,000 acres of land, about the size of the city of New Orleans. The prison's barbed wire fences seem endless, and so do the miles of fields where inmates toil in isolation. But Angola is not just a place of confinement. It's a place where time itself seems to stand still. The land is a prison, but the people are the ones who make it infamous. The inmates, the guards, and the stories they carry with them. Let's take a closer look at the daily life inside Angola. Life behind bars, the inmates' daily reality. For the men who live here, each day is a battle. From the moment they wake up until the moment they close their eyes at night, survival is the only thing that matters. The routine, of prison life are unrelenting. Every day, thousands of men rise early to begin their work on Angola's massive fields. Cotton, soybeans, sugarcane. The work is grueling, the hours long, but for many, it is the only semblance of normality in a place that offers little peace. This is no ordinary farm. These fields are more than just labor for the state. They represent the prison's need for control. Work is mandatory, and for some inmates it's the only chance to earn a bit of dignity. Prisoners here have no freedom of choice. Their movements are dictated by the whim of guards and the unspoken rules of the prison system. Inside the walls, life is just as relentless. Angola's living conditions are notoriously harsh. The prison is overcrowded, and the cells, often smaller than an average bedroom, are shared by multiple men. There's little privacy and even less hope. Inmates are forced to live in close quarters, where tension is thick and the threat of violence is ever present. Conflict is constant, and the sound of yelling and clanging bars is always in the air. The guards too live in this pressure cooker. They are the unseen force that maintains order, but at what cost? Some of the guards at Angola are as hardened as the men they watch over. In a prison where power dynamics are constantly shifting, maintaining control is no easy task. But what happens when the guards and the inmates blur the lines between roles? When the rules aren't clear, and survival becomes the ultimate goal for everyone involved. Angola's dark reputation, violence and control. Angola is no stranger to violence. In fact, it thrives on it. The prison's legacy of brutality has earned it a reputation as one of the most dangerous correctional facilities in the United States. The fear of violence looms large here. From gang wars to riots to solitary confinement, the stakes for survival are as high as they get. Former Inmate 1. Every day you walk around wondering if you're going to get stabbed, or worse, get your throat slit. It's not just about the fights, it's the constant fear of your life being taken from you at any moment. Former Inmate 2. You can't trust anyone, not even the guards. They may turn on you, or worse, use you to settle a personal vendetta. Angola's dark reputation stems in part from its history of violent uprisings and deadly confrontations. The worst of these occurred during the 1970s, when the prison was shaken by violent riots that saw inmates take control of parts of the facility for days at a time. Today, the violence has toned down, but make no mistake, Angola remains a powder keg, waiting for the next spark to ignite. The prison economy, a world of its own. Angola is not just a prison of walls, guards, and fields. It is a self-contained economy, a shadow economy built on barter, power, and the will to survive. Behind the locked gates, the currency is often more than just money. It's respect, influence, and sometimes fear. In a place where possessions are few and everything has value, the underground market is the lifeblood of Angola. It's not just about who has the most, but who can make the most out of what little they have. Cigarettes, coffee, and candy, these are the most prized items here. But for some, it's about something even more important: power. There are men inside Angola who have built empires within these walls. They are not guards or wardens. They are inmates, and they've carved out territories within the prison's complex hierarchy. Some are leaders of gangs, while others are simply feared for their ruthlessness. In Angola, status is earned through strength, cunning, and sometimes bloodshed. In here, you either get respected or you get taken advantage of. That's how it works. You make a deal or you get nothing. And if you can't protect yourself, you're going to be on the bottom. And once you're on the bottom, it's hard to get back up. The prison's unofficial currency is power. Inmates may not control the gates or the keys, but they control the flow of information, the access to goods, and sometimes even the guards. In this world, trust is scarce, and every transaction is a gamble. But the rules are clear. Take, give, or be taken. Gangs of Angola, a dangerous underworld. Like most maximum security prisons, Angola has its own gangs. But here, the stakes are higher. The prison is divided into territories, each ruled by a different faction. These gangs operate like their own cities within the prison. They have leaders, followers, and their own set of rules. The most powerful of these factions are the Black Guerrilla Family, the Aryan Brotherhood, and the Vice Lords. These gangs are not just groups of inmates looking to assert dominance. They are organizations with far-reaching influence, stretching beyond the walls of Angola. The members of these gangs don't just fight for control inside the prison. They fight for influence that can affect life on the outside as well. Each gang has its own code and its own way of life. The Black Guerrilla Family, for example, has roots in revolutionary politics. But inside Angola, it's more about survival and maintaining control. The Aryan Brotherhood, a white supremacist gang, operates under a strict hierarchy, and the Vice Lords, once a street gang, have deep roots in the prison system. These gangs don't just control the flow of goods, they control the lives of many of the men who live here. Betrayal can mean death, and loyalty means everything. Rivalry between these groups is constant. The gang violence at Angola has led to some of the most brutal confrontations inside the prison. Fights can erupt at any moment, with weapons like shanks, makeshift knives, and even firearms being smuggled in. But sometimes it's not about the fight at all. Sometimes it's about sending a message, gang leader. In here, if you're not with us, you're against us. And you'll feel that. Ain't no middle ground. Either you fight, or you get rolled over. Gang life at Angola is unforgiving. Survival is the goal, and to survive, you need allies. But trust is fragile. And in a place like this, loyalty often comes at a cost. Solitary confinement, the mental toll. But it's not just the physical violence that makes Angola one of the most brutal places on earth. There is a psychological toll that comes with life behind bars, and there is no place more suffocating than solitary confinement. Angola houses some of the most dangerous inmates in the United States. For them, solitary confinement is not just a punishment, it's a way of life. The prison has one of the largest solitary confinement units in the country, known as the camp. Here, men spend years, sometimes decades, locked away in complete isolation. Former inmate. It's like your mind starts to break. You don't see people for months, years. You start to forget what it feels like to talk to someone, to see someone smile. It eats away at you, slowly. You lose yourself in that silence. Solitary confinement in Angola is not just about punishment, it's about control. Inmates in solitary are isolated from the rest of the prison population, locked in tiny windowless cells. They get 1 hour outside their cells each day, if that. The rest of the time is spent in silence, alone with their thoughts. For many, it's too much to bear. It's in these solitary cells that some of the most mentally shattered prisoners reside. Years of isolation have left them broken, their minds twisted by the lack of human interaction. For some, the isolation is the ultimate punishment, one that no amount of physical pain can compare to. Redemption and transformation. A glimmer of hope. In a place where survival often means fighting for every inch of space, where hope seems like a distant memory, there are still moments where something unexpected happens. Inside Angola, there are men who seek redemption, who look for a way out of the cycle of violence and hatred that defines their lives. Religion has long been a source of solace for many prisoners. In Angola, Christianity has played a significant role in shaping the lives of many inmates. The prison has one of the largest and most active religious programs in the country, offering weekly services, Bible studies, and counseling. For some men, it's a chance to reconnect with a past they've left behind, to reconcile with the lives they've destroyed. For others, it's a lifeline. Former inmate 4. I was lost in here. You don't realize how much you've lost yourself until you find something worth holding on to. For me, it was God. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm not the man I was when I first walked in here. The road to redemption is never easy, especially in a place like Angola. But for some inmates, religion offers a chance to rebuild their lives, to begin again in a world that often refuses to forgive. These men find solace in scripture, community, and the belief that, no matter how dark their past, there is always a way forward. Beyond the pulpit, Angola offers a few programs that provide prisoners with the chance to better themselves. Educational programs, vocational training, and rehabilitation efforts have helped some inmates transform their lives. But even with these programs, the road to redemption is fraught with challenges. The state of Louisiana has invested in several rehabilitation programs in recent years, hoping to break the cycle of incarceration that defines Angola. Men in these programs learn practical skills, from welding to carpentry, and for some, these skills become their ticket to a life outside the prison walls. But for others, it's a reminder of just how hard it is to start over when society has written them off. The justice system, a harsh reality. Angola Prison is a symbol of something much larger, America's flawed criminal justice system. It is a place where punishment is not just about confinement, but about retribution. With over 85% of the inmates serving life sentences without the possibility of parole, Angola has become a warehouse for men who have been forgotten by society. But is this justice? Or is it a cycle of cruelty, where men never have the chance to atone for their sins? One of the most controversial aspects of Angola is its high number of inmates who are sentenced to life without parole. For many of these men, the gates of Angola are their final home. And for some, the possibility of parole is a distant dream, forever out of reach. Inmate 5. When you're sentenced to life without parole, you stop thinking about the outside world. You just start to survive, day after day. You don't think about a future anymore. There's no future for men like me here. You die in Angola, and you're forgotten. But you still have to live every day. Angola is the final stop for thousands of men, but it's also a microcosm of a broken system that leaves many prisoners with little to no hope of rehabilitation or redemption. As the country debates prison reform and the ethics of life sentences, Angola serves as a grim reminder of the consequences of a system that locks away men without the chance for change. For the men inside Angola, the question of justice is often complicated. Many of them have committed heinous crimes. But the question remains, does the punishment fit the crime when the sentence is death by imprisonment with no chance of redemption? Angola's death row, the final chapter. For some, Angola's story doesn't just end with life imprisonment. Angola is also home to one of the largest and most notorious death row sections in the United States. The men on death row live under constant surveillance, their days numbered. But for some, their final days are spent in a battle of their own, a battle to find meaning in a life that has been reduced to its final moments. Death row at Angola is not just a waiting room for execution. It's a place where men face the ultimate uncertainty. When will they die and how? Some live with the agony of knowing they will eventually meet the end of their sentence through execution. Others spend decades on death row, caught in legal battles and the overwhelming weight of their pending fate. The justice system has long been criticized for the prolonged periods that death row inmates spend in limbo. The legal battles to delay executions can last for years, creating a sense of hopelessness and torment for those awaiting death. Many of the men on death row have spent decades locked away, their lives a blurred line between justice and cruelty. For those on death row, the search for meaning can be just as urgent as their fight for life. Some seek redemption in their final days, turning to religion for solace, while others wrestle with the deep regret of their actions. The question is not just about the crimes they committed, but about what it means to live and to die in a place like Angola. The struggle for freedom, Angola's future. As the years pass, the voices calling for prison reform grow louder. Angola is no longer just a symbol of punishment. It has become a symbol of the need for change. The question remains, can a system built on cruelty and punishment ever truly rehabilitate those it imprisons? Is there room for mercy in a place where survival is the only goal? Activist. Angola's reputation is not just about the men inside. It's about the system that keeps them there. We need reform. We need to stop treating prisoners like animals and start treating them like human beings again. Angola's future is uncertain, but one thing is clear. Its story is far from over. As the debate about the future of mass incarceration, rehabilitation, and justice continues, Angola stands as a testament to a broken system and a reminder that there's always more beneath the surface of the prison walls. The real question remains, can change come from within? Life inside Angola Prison is a world of its own, a microcosm of human nature at its most extreme. The men inside are not just criminals, they are people, grappling with the consequences of their actions, the weight of their choices, and the possibility, or impossibility, of redemption. As Angola's story continues to unfold, we must ask ourselves, what does justice truly mean? And can we ever truly know what it takes to heal a broken soul in a place like this? The mental health crisis, a silent battle. In a place like Angola, where isolation is a constant and survival is the only goal, it's no surprise that mental health issues run rampant. Angola is a place where the harsh realities of prison life take a toll on the mind. For many inmates, the psychological consequences of confinement are just as damaging, if not more so, than the physical ones. Psychiatrist. In any prison system, the mental health of inmates is a serious issue, but Angola, with its extreme conditions, exacerbates the problem. Solitary confinement, overcrowding, violence, all of these contribute to a mental health crisis. Inmates suffer from depression, anxiety, PTSD, and many other conditions, and yet mental health care is often inadequate. Despite the growing recognition of mental health issues in prisons, Angola's resources for dealing with these problems remain scarce. There are some counseling programs, and a few psychologists who work with inmates, but these programs are often underfunded and underutilized. As a result, many prisoners suffer in silence, their mental health deteriorating with each passing year. The isolation, combined with the constant threat of violence, makes life here unbearable for some. The walls of Angola don't just trap the body, they trap the mind as well. And for those inmates who have no access to proper mental health care, it can be a slow, agonizing spiral toward despair. Solitary confinement is the ultimate test for mental endurance. For many men in Angola, spending years in solitary is an experience that pushes them to the brink of insanity. With no human interaction, no sensory stimulation, and no escape from the constant silence, the damage done to their mental health is profound. Former inmate 6. It's like your mind starts breaking down. You're alone with your thoughts day after day. You start hearing things. You start talking to yourself. You lose your grip on reality. You feel like you're fading away. The effects of long-term solitary confinement are well documented, and in Angola, they are undeniable. Inmates subjected to such conditions often experience long-term psychological damage, making it even harder for them to reintegrate into society, or even to function within the prison system itself. The family impact, the ripple effect of incarceration. The impact of life inside Angola extends beyond the prison walls. Families, too, are deeply affected by the long-term incarceration of their loved ones. For the wives, mothers, and children of Angola's inmates, the burden of having a family member locked away in one of the most notorious prisons in America can be an emotionally and financially draining experience, mother of inmate. I've watched my son change over the years. It's hard seeing him in there, especially knowing that I can't do much to help him. He's a different person now. He's not the same boy who went in. Prison does that to you. It takes away pieces of who you are. For families, the trauma of having a loved one incarcerated is compounded by the harsh conditions that inmates face inside Angola. The distance, the limited visitation opportunities, the constant fear for their safety, it all adds up. And for those families who hope for a reunion, the waiting is the hardest part. Many inmates at Angola are serving life sentences, with no possibility of parole. For families, the dream of seeing their loved ones free again is often shattered. Visitation days are a rare respite for many families, a brief moment where they can touch base with the men they love. But these visits are often filled with sorrow and longing, a reminder of the distance between them and the men locked away behind bars. For some, these visits are the only connection to the outside world that they have left. Father of inmate. Every time I see him, I pray that something inside him has changed. I pray that the man who went in there is still in there somewhere. But the prison changes you. It changes who you are. Angola doesn't just affect the men behind its walls, it affects everyone who loves them. The ripple effect of incarceration is vast, and for many families the emotional toll can last a lifetime. The death of hope, Angola's legacy, and the future of mass incarceration. For many, the story of Angola is a story of lost hope. The men inside its walls may never walk free again. They may never experience the outside world the way they once did. And in the years to come, the history of Angola will continue to be written, with each new inmate adding another chapter to its dark legacy. But there is a growing movement across America calling for reform. Activists, lawmakers, and ordinary citizens are pushing for change, questioning the very system that allows prisons like Angola to thrive. The debate over mass incarceration, prison reform, and the morality of life sentences without parole is one of the most important discussions of our time. Lawmaker. We cannot continue to ignore the fact that our prison system is broken. It's time to end the cycle of punishment and focus on rehabilitation. Angola is a symbol of what is wrong, but it doesn't have to be the future of our justice system. Angola's future remains uncertain. Will it continue to serve as a monument to retribution? Or will the growing cries for reform lead to a new era, one where rehabilitation and redemption take precedence over punishment? The men inside Angola have their own answers, shaped by years of suffering, isolation, and violence. But what will society choose? Angola Prison is more than just a place of punishment. It is a symbol of the brokenness within the American justice system. And until the cycle is broken, the men inside Angola will continue to live with their past and their future, locked away in the shadows of its walls. In the end, the story of Angola Prison is not just about the men who live there. It's about us, the society that created it, that continues to feed it, and that will ultimately have to decide what kind of future it wants to build. A call for change. These issues struggle for reform. Angola Prison stands as a monument to America's history of mass incarceration, a testament to a system that has become more about punishment than rehabilitation. But as the country faces an undeniable reckoning, the question is not just about the men inside its walls. It's about the society that built this institution and continues to allow it to exist. Across the nation, voices are rising against the punitive system that allows places like Angola to exist. Activists, lawmakers, and citizens are calling for reform, pushing for a system that prioritizes rehabilitation over retribution, humanity over cruelty. Reform advocate. Prisons should be places of reform, not warehouses for the forgotten. If we want to reduce crime and make our communities safer, we need to focus on rehabilitation, education, and mental health care. Angola is a reminder that our current system is broken, and it's time for change. The growing calls for reform are not just about Angola, they're about our entire justice system. From sentencing laws to prison conditions to the treatment of inmates, we are at a crossroads. Can we continue to uphold a system that so often dehumanizes those who enter it? Or will we take the necessary steps to create a more just, compassionate society? As the world looks on, the question is clear. Can we change the way we think about punishment? Can we create a system that gives men, women, and children a real chance at redemption? The road to reform will not be easy, but it begins with awareness, with acknowledging the flaws in our system and the human lives it has affected. Angola, as dark as its past is, can be the catalyst for a new beginning. Final reflections: the men of Angola and the road ahead. For the men who live in Angola, life behind bars is a daily struggle. But for some, there is a flicker of hope. In the most unlikely of places, they find moments of redemption, of change, and of hope. Angola may be a prison, but it is also a reminder that within even the darkest corners of our society, there is always the potential for transformation. The future of Angola, like the future of mass incarceration in America, is uncertain. But it is up to us, to you, to decide what that future will look like. As we continue to witness the ongoing struggle for justice, reform, and equality, we must ask ourselves one final question. What is the price of redemption? And who gets to decide who is worthy of it? Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of Angola Prison. The story of Angola is more than just the story of a prison. It's the story of our justice system, of the men it incarcerates, and the families who are forever affected by it. This documentary is just a small glimpse into a world that many never see, but we all must understand. If you believe that change is necessary, that reform is possible, and that we must work together to create a more just society, take action. Educate yourself, share this video, and join the conversation about prison reform. The fight for justice isn't over, it's just beginning. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth investigations into the criminal justice system, and be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. If you found this documentary powerful and thought-provoking, share it with others who need to hear it. Together we can help ignite the change that's long overdue. Thank you for watching, and remember, the change we seek starts with awareness. Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay inspired. Until next time.